I was going to say, I loved your Guardian column.
Thank you.
Clearly you're a big supporter of the idea of a female doctor.
I was really chuffed, to be honest, because I've been writing a column for a local newspaper for years, and they contacted me and said, would I like to write my own article for? And I said, as long as you don't edit it, yes. And they agreed, and they didn't edit it, so that's good.
Did you ever think the BBC would do it?
No.
No.
I hoped. I always thought it was a good idea, but as the years went by, I'm grateful they didn't do it when Peter left. But aside from that, I've always thought it was a good idea. But I thought that all those female fans who turned on because David Tennant was playing the part might leave in their droves, or the BBC might think that they would leave in their droves if they cast a female, because that's the way things have been in every sphere of human life for far too long. That, would you appoint a female as chief executive of your company? Well, why the hell not if they're good? And I've got 4 daughters, and I want my daughters to live in a world where their gender is as relevant as anything else. So, I've always thought it, and I was more glad, because I've been pleased at the casting of various other actors. I mean, the only one I didn't know about was Matt Smith, who came out of nowhere. I'd never heard of him, who was brilliant. And I knew Peter Capaldi was a good actor, and he hasn't sworn once. So I thought he had a rough deal, because the press weren't very kind to Peter Capaldi, not the press, the fans weren't very kind, because they'd been kind of conditioned to want eye candy rather than the characters that are first and second and third Doctors, and arguably the fourth. None of them were eye candy. They were strong, definite characters. And then Peter was a bit eye candy-ish, I suppose. But don't tell him I said so.
Well, I mean, it's kind of an echo of your Doctor as well. Is kind of the choice to
Capaldi.
go. Yes, to go with an angrier persona.
I've always said every 6 times they get it right.
Do you feel like he kind of had the arc that your Doctor was denied a little bit, because he started out very severe and then he mellowed, as was the plan for your Doctor?
Well, if you're aware of Big Finish, as my Doctor has been able to do on Big Finish.
Superb,
So, in fact, I've had a lengthier tenure now than Tom. I've done more Doctor Who stories than Tom did, which I'm quite pleased with. And my developmental arc, including the regeneration, I don't know if any of you have heard that, but I am so pleased with what Big Finish did. And it fits perfectly with the beginning of Sylvester's story, but it's cleverer and very heroic, which I like.
Was there anywhere that you wanted to go?
Thank you, well thought.
Was there anywhere you wanted to go with the character that at the time you never felt you could do?
But there was when I finished on television, yes. Because I always say, even right at the beginning, that for me the most interesting characters in anything are the ones that you learn about as the drama unfolds. And so I always suggested someone like Darcy in Pride and Prejudice, who for 7/8 of the book you hate. You think he's arrogant and unpleasant and just plain horrible. And you find out at the end that he was the one with the truest, decentest motives of anybody in the book. And if I can take a more prosaic analogy, in Harry Potter, who do we hate all the way through? Severus Snape. Who was the greatest hero of them all? Severus Snape. So I find that interesting. In life as well, people you meet who at first you don't like, and you realise 10 years later that they're suddenly your best friend, and they always were, but you had an attitude about them and they about you, and once you clear all that away, find out the truth about something. And it's the same. That was the plan with my Doctor, but the plan was somewhat stymied by the powers that be at the BBC, who didn't like the programme. So,
do you think that the BBC is more disposed to take risks as an organisation now, especially with Doctor Who?
In the main, no, I don't. But I'm delighted on this occasion they have, because you would never get in, or maybe now I could say you might, things like The Singing Detective and Pennies from Heaven. Do you know those particular dramas I'm talking about? Dennis Potter. Dennis Potter would never be allowed now to do the kind of programs. He was an auteur. He was someone who said, right, there's your time slot, give us a program. Now you'd have a committee reading the scripts, saying, change that, change that. No, I like that. Well, you can change that if he can change that. And everything is, casting is done by a committee, everything. So all I can think of is that Chris Chibnall was given a blank slate, which is very unusual these days.
They had to lure him away.
Long may it happen. I want people who are passionate about things to make programs, and then whoever's above them say, okay, this is your chance. If it's good, we'll love it. If it's bad, you're out. Rather than try and interfere with the day-to-day making of programs.